Good morning, everyone. And let me see how we get on. Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Adrian, and together with Yen. Hi, Yen. How are you today?
Good morning. It's Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday. Wow, no, so good to be back on air again. And once again, for those
No.
of you, no, it's for those of you who just joined us. Hi, my name is Adrian, and I'm the CEO and founder of Creativity International. And together with me is Yen. Yen's our executive director and super coach. Yen, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Had your
Happy
coffee yet?
Friday. I am on my first cup, but I've got another cup waiting on standby.
Yeah, it's how many cups of coffee do you do a day, Yen?
About two. It's not so bad. I am
Okay. Oh,
in
no, no.
control. Thank you for your concern.
Okay. Okay. So, for those of you who may not be familiar with us, we are the co-founders of Career Agility International, and together we help executives like yourself to find more meaningful careers. To get more career clarity, so that you can enjoy your careers, even as you're enjoying your life even more than your career.
I am. We need to work on that tagline.
We need to
Uh,
want
I,
a tagline.
s-
We've got so
I
many versions of it.
strongly I strongly believe in finding an easy way to manage the career so that we can have more mind space and more time for the things that do really matter, like our leisure time
Oh yes, and our family time and everything else.
and
But
leisure time.
it's really lovely to have such a nice following on LinkedIn and on YouTube, as well as on Facebook. And it's really exciting to be sharing ideas with you every day on how you can make your careers better. And also for those of us who are watching us on LinkedIn, if you want to watch previous episodes, we are available on Spotify as well. You just need to go search on the career strategists, and there we are. We have we have 5 seasons now. We have close to 55 episodes uploaded already.
That's a
Amazing, isn't it?
lot. That's a lot. So I told my kids if it once I'm dead and gone, they can listen to my nagging on Spotify.
Oh,
It's just my
you
voice
know,
will just keep playing.
I don't know. It reminds me of. It reminds me of Superman's Fortress of Solitude, where his dad, puts all the information for him on. So that when your kids need career advice, they just need to go back on and go, oh, what did mom actually say about this? What did Uncle Adrian say about that? It's oh wow.
She never really told us the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
That's so funny, right?
Yeah.
Today we are going to talk about. Are you seeing the big picture? Today's topic is going to be about what is your career? Where's your career heading towards? Are you planning for the right thing? And is
Mm,
it making sense?
yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, when they plan some people don't even plan their careers.
No, they don't. And they tend to react rather than respond. So to
Mm,
react would be like there's a trigger and then they go, okay, I need to get a job. Right, what do I need to do? I need to write a resume.
yeah.
And too many individuals whom I personally have met would just overly focus on their resume. They go, I
Yeah.
need a good resume. Just help me write a damn good one.
Your resume will land
And
you the job.
it will be fine, and I want it specifically like so whatever, then they'll tell me what to do, and I'll go, yeah, you're not seeing the big picture here.
You're missing the forest for the trees. And that's why today we're going to ask you a question. Are you seeing the big picture? And one of the biggest problems we encounter whenever we talk to our clients for the first time is that they have this issue of having a tunnel vision with respect to whether they are a job seeker, whether they are a career accelerator, or whether they're just trying to figure out the next steps.
Yeah,
They always have this tunnel vision. What do you mean by that?
sometimes it's not just a tunnel means that they're focused on just one thing, one aspect, one element, but sometimes it's a very shallow tunnel, it's a very short term tunnel, and they go, okay, I just need a job, any job.
It's just a hole in the
and
wall, not a
and they
tunnel.
think, and then when offers do come, sometimes they do, they'll go, ew, no, no, this is not what I wanted. But hey, if that's the message you were projecting, what do you think is going to come in?
Yeah.
So the tunnel it's dangerous, especially if it's just a tunnel and you're overly focused on, say, just a resume
Mhm.
or just your LinkedIn. Or there are individuals who would play the bureaucratic game very well, and they're just majoring in stakeholder management, thinking
Mhm.
that once they manage their stakeholders, they will get the promotion. It's not so straightforward.
not so straightforward, right? Yeah. So this is a line which my ex-boss Lindsay always says: "Why are you majoring in minors? Don't look at the small things. Look at the big picture. Take a step back." So what are some of the minors that people are narrowly focusing on?
There are so many. Most of the time, it's resumes. That's why it's number one on this list.
Yeah.
When people think that they just need to get one resume done and they're good, tell you a secret, all the listeners out there, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have multiple versions. With every time you submit a resume, it's going to look a little bit different. So you've got to manage that positioning. I've seen far too many resumes that just look like fact sheets. You know, when you go to the
Like product
electronics,
specs, like
right?
product
You go
specs.
to the electronics store, and every laptop has got a one pager with all
Yeah.
the specs.
Yeah.
If resumes look like that, it's not good enough. You know, you've got to have a lot more of that positioning statement, a lot more of the benefit statements. If this is new to you as a listener, come talk to us, because the resume is not as straightforward as it sounds, but it's
Mm.
not that hard.
It's
But
not that.
again, for today's topic, I just want to caution against just over focusing on the
Yeah.
resume.
Yeah, and I know this is one point where we quite differ quite a fair bit. And because you're the resume wordsmith, I am the guy with zero attention span. And I always say that, people, the HR managers don't read your resume in detail. They just see the top line stuff. They don't bother to look what exactly words are tiny words in there.
Hmm.
I know we always disagree with this
We're,
since like
we're, we're gonna we're gonna
2015.
still keep arguing.
Yeah,
Getting in the door is a different game. You don't really need a resume to open the door. But the
exactly.
resume is necessary to win over the others within the organization who are also going to have a say in whether or not they want to meet with you.
Mhm.
But the resume and the LinkedIn go hand in hand. So you
Yes.
cannot just play the LinkedIn game and not have a decent resume,
And vice
or
versa.
worse, a crappy one. Or you can have a really good resume and zero presence on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
or worse, an incongruent messaging,
Yeah.
where you say one thing on your resume and you say something else on your LinkedIn. That's really
And
dangerous.
doesn't, yeah. So that's where it gets tricky. And that's why if you're looking at things in isolation, if you're majoring in the minors, if you're just focusing on resumes alone, well, congratulations if you do get the interview, because you're not strategizing for the interview itself. Then once again, you're getting the leads, you're not closing them. That's another issue as well. And that's why we are saying that you cannot have that tunnel vision problem, and it becomes unhealthy if you just focus on one alone. And again, why is it some people just focus on one?
I don't know. Maybe that's the way things were back in the day. I don't know if you remember a time when all we needed was a resume because LinkedIn did not exist.
Yeah.
Interviews were easy because we were young, and as a younger executive, it's less. I guess
Yeah,
the obstacles are not so high and not so
yeah,
complex. Conversations are straightforward because it's a matter of whether or not
yeah.
you would show up. For as a young
And
executive,
then the
that's what they're looking for, is
yeah, and then
somebody
the standard
disciplined.
questions they ask you is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Kind of standard type of questions. But the questions get more complex the more senior you become, and they become more meaningful. There are questions behind the questions which you need to decode.
It's not
That's why
just the
it gets a bit.
questions, right? It's a conversation.
Yeah.
But as a younger executive, and you're looking
Mm.
to go into your first or second job,
Hmm.
it's not too difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
barrier to entry is very low.
Yeah.
But again, I guess what we're talking about here is, why is it unhealthy to focus on these items in isolation? Number one,
Mm.
I think it's incongruent sometimes. I think that's huge, because if I'm a recruiter and I'm going to look at your social media, not just LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and I see something that immediately, red flags, I think
Yeah.
that would be very concerning.
It's
Yeah.
a huge warning. So that's why you have to have a very holistic view on all the aspects of your career, and that's why we always say, career success is like living a healthy lifestyle. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
So when you think about why you're asking me all the questions today,
I'm
why are you
asking you the
making me
questions
work
today.
so hard?
Yes, because you are the one
So
with the coffee. I haven't had my coffee yet. So
if you think about how we are looking to manage our lifestyle,
yeah.
as we get on in years, things are starting to fall apart, right? So we have to eat healthy. That's one. So
Mhm.
let's say we're cutting out carbs and we're putting in more vegetables, but guess what? We're not exercising. So looking after our health with items in isolation, we fix the diet but we don't exercise. That's not
Oh,
going to work. Or if we get a personal trainer but we eat oily fried foods every day, all day, every day, and we don't drink enough water, that's not healthy either.
yeah, it is.
So it's a, what you call it, an ecosystem? No, it's all
Yeah,
connected.
it's a
It's a
holistic strategy towards everything,
correct.
right? Yeah. So you're right. And even if you do get a gym instructor, or even if you do hit the gym, and if you just do weights alone, but you don't focus on your flexibility
Cardio.
or your
Yeah.
cardio, something's gonna give. So my
Eventually
gym,
something will
my
give.
my fitness instructor told me, because I'm the least flexible guy around. I always complain whenever I got to bend down and unlock the office door. Right, I'm the one who's
Yes,
moaning and groaning.
you always pass me the key,
Yeah,
because once
because
we the office door lock, to our listeners out there, it's at floor level.
right at the bottom. Why
That's
would
a
anyone do that?
horrible design, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. So I always hand Yan the key because I cannot bend over, and I'm the least flexible guy around. So my gym instructor used to say, my fitness instructor used to say, "There's no point being strong if you are not flexible, because you're gonna tear a ligament. You're gonna
Yeah, or
tear
a muscle,
or a
or
muscle
something
or a
something's
tendon."
going to break. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
yeah.
why we need to have a very holistic. In fact, interestingly, what he said is this: if your muscles are too strong, and your
Yes,
ligaments and your tendons cannot support it, that's even worse.
it's
So
worse.
if
Yes.
if you focus so much on your CV and your resume, and you do so nicely, or you focus so much on the interview and you score so well for interview, when you land the job,
Ooh.
then like, oh, I'm in
the brown stuff will hit
trouble.
the fan. We
Yeah.
have seen cases where an individual got the job because they sell themselves so well, but
Hmm.
but it all comes out in the wash, doesn't it?
Yeah, it all
Six
comes
months
out.
later they're on the job hunt again because
Yeah,
things are not working out.
yeah.
I just want to add one more thing about the healthy lifestyle. It's not
Mhm.
just the physicality, it's not just the consuming healthy food or nutrition. It's not just about your vitamins, it's not just about water, it's also about
Mhm.
your mental well-being. So the thing about our health is that it's a complex system,
Yeah.
and it's a really good analogy for our careers as well. So there are many
Mm.
facets to it, there are many elements to it.
Yeah. And that's why today we want to give you some ideas and what can you do about it. See, so the whole thrust of today's talk is this: don't look at things in isolation, see the big picture. Take a 30,000, 50,000 feet view on what the landscape is like, rather than just majoring on a minus. Okay, see the
Yeah.
big picture. And
See
wow,
the
this
big picture, but don't stay there. So there
yeah.
are there are individuals who also stay
In
very
the big picture,
lofty,
they don't go down to
and
the
and
gritty
then there's
details.
no action, and that's a
Yeah.
problem as well. So it's like, yeah, it's all this intention. I will cycle tomorrow. I will go jogging tomorrow. Yes, I need to drink more water, and then and then you don't drink any water. So, so see the big picture, but don't stay there too
Actually,
long.
actually, I agree. I agree with what you just said about having a good balance about everything. Because I'm a cyclist. I cycle, and my
Mm-hmm.
legs are strong and everything. But the other day, I was trying to move stuff in my mom's place, and I found that my arms were like totally weak. I couldn't lift stuff up. So it's like, oh
Oh,
no,
that's
it's like
funny.
it's so
So
terrible. I got
so
no upper body strength at all. So
you're like
I
you're like
had
a reverse Popeye.
I reverse Papa. So it's
I,
so
I
funny. I
don't
was
know if
like,
anyone even knows who Popeye is anymore.
yeah, I know that's a boomer, right? So,
It is a
what
boomer.
so what do we look
Okay.
out for? One of the first things we look out for is your career strategy. Okay, you
Yes.
have to focus on the overall picture. Where is your career heading? Where do you want to go to? Where have you been? Are you able to create your career story and your narrative when you sit down and have a conversation with the people whom you want to work with?
Yeah.
This is
Everyone thinks that the career strategy is just a plan. It isn't just a plan. It
no, it isn't.
consists of a ton of research as well,
Yes.
and there's a structure to it because
Mhm.
inside this 3 words, your career strategy, or 2 words,
Mhm.
career strategy,
3 words.
are I'm looking at the slide. The slide says
Yeah.
your career strategy,
Your
but
career.
I'm thinking for our listeners who are not looking at the slides, right? So career strategy has got multiple elements, and it dives into many facets as well.
Mm.
So it's not just
Yeah.
a straightforward plan.
Yeah, if you get your hands on a copy of our book, The Great Career Paradox, okay, we highlight numerous career strategies in there. You know, do you want to accelerate? You need to talk about your career velocity. How fast you want to go, how slow you want to go. You need to talk about your career direction. You need to talk about your skills focus. You need to talk about
Mm,
your which quadrant you want to move into. So there are very technical terms with regards to your career strategy, which you need to figure out. And if you are too lazy to get a book, well, you can always come talk to us at our career clinic. We can give you a run through. You just need to email us at info@careeragility.org, and we'll be happy to sit down with you just for one session. You can book an appointment with us. We can have a discussion about your career strategy and whether or not your career strategy makes sense. Because sometimes you think you have a career strategy, but it's based on what you think it is. And it always helps to have someone else, an expert, either Yen or myself, to stress test it. The word is stress test it.
it's when you meet. Well, when I last met a client for the first time, my
Mm.
question was, "What do you want to do next? And where do you see your long-term career headed?" Even though it sounds like a very simple question, the answer was, "I don't know."
I don't know.
And that's tough. And don't forget, above and beyond everything that you just mentioned, Adrian,
Yeah.
that fits into your career strategy. There's also the reflections on what you want more of, what's your
Hmm.
superpower.
Hmm.
There's so much more than,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a
And
lot
not
more to it.
and in addition to that, you need to layer it. Or you need to layer your life strategy over it as well, just to make sure
Yeah,
that it. So to give you an example, so yesterday I was talking to a person who's based in Hong Kong, and he was thinking about I don't look. He was thinking of looking at a new role,
mm,
and he didn't realize whether or not it was going to be in Singapore or
yeah.
Hong Kong. And he was making so many plans and everything else. But my big question is, where does your family want to be? Where's your family located? Have you spoken to your spouse about it? In terms of education wise, you have kids, so it's not just a career strategy; it's a life strategy too.
Yeah,
So
and
there's
if your
many
kids are
moving parts.
young, maybe you don't want to travel 90% of the time,
Yeah,
or you'll never see them. So there's a lot of
a lot of moving parts.
considerations.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
moving parts. So that's why your career strategy is one of the pieces which you need to consider when you are looking at whether or not your career is going right. So that's one of the things. The second thing you need to look at is your skill. Now, let me ask you a question, Yan. How good are you at
okay.
threading a needle?
Awful. But well, I used to be really good, but now I can't see.
Well,
And I
there is.
realized that even with the reading glasses, there's a distance to the reading glasses that I have because it's intended for working on the laptop, not
Uh,
intended for threading needles. I'm gonna need
okay.
a microscope for that, a
For
magnifying
me,
glass.
for me, it isn't eyesight. For me, I just have very bad hand-eye coordination. I think about 10 minutes to thread it. I can see it very clearly, okay? But it's like, miss. And that's the problem because it is a skill involved. And I figured if I did it often enough, I actually would be good at it. But why would I want to do practice
Well,
threading a needle?
what you can do is just go get one of those needle threaders.
Oh yeah, I know, right? And that's
It
that's
makes life
exactly what
very
we're talking
easy.
about. Yeah.
So the skill here is the ability to identify tools to make the task easier. Duh.
Yes. So the next thing we're talking about now, besides your career strategy, which you need to look at, are your skills. What are your skills? What are the skills that you're good at? What are the skills that you love? Are your skills in demand? Okay, because
Yep.
if your skills my number one skill is in fixing fax machines or no fixing typewriters. Goodness, I actually know someone who fixes typewriters as a hobby.
And I'm sure he will have a very unique artisan following.
Yes.
People who like to,
Yeah.
what was the word? They restore ancient devices and then they put them into
They ch-
museums.
Vintage, like ancient. Goodness, we're not talking about
Right?
Antikythera. We're not talking about a Greek Antikythera mechanism where they discovered in the Dead Sea or no,
I
no, that's
saw
not
that.
ancient. That's
I
fiber.
did. I
Yeah, it's
saw
amazing,
that. I
right?
saw
Yeah,
that with
but
my own eyes.
it's like
It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so anyway, it's all about what are your skills? Are they still valid? And
Yes.
one of the hottest skills right now is prompt
AI.
engineering, AI.
Yes. Yeah.
And how do you talk to the machine? How do you make the machine understand you? How do you generate amazing photos or mid journey? And yeah, and even skills like selling and everything. The old school skills like selling, these are still valid today, no matter what the context are.
Yeah, the thing about what concerns a lot of our clients is how the market is shifting so rapidly in their industries, and a lot of roles are now being made redundant because
Yeah.
artificial intelligence has taken over a lot of
IBM,
those
IBM,
requirements.
IBM is stopped hiring for any role that could be replaced
Yeah.
by AI already. So that's it.
Yeah, and yesterday you were just playing with the AI for photographs,
Oh
and we
yeah.
were just creating a lot of fake people. They don't
Mhm.
exist,
Yeah.
and they're just modeling, right? So now stock photo modeling is no longer a skill, no longer a job, and so
Yeah.
we're thinking of if models are out of work, what are they going to do? Well, they can go be influencers, I guess.
Probably more money as well. So yeah. So that once again, it's a skill, right? So it's a skill. So
Yeah.
the question is, what are your skills in 5 years' time? Will your skills still be in demand? And that's the big question we need to ask ourselves. Now. Are we still skilled up? And for this question, it's quite a tough question to ask ourselves because we need
It's
to be
really
very,
tough.
very honest. It's a skill.
Scary.
Uh, I always believe that one of the evergreen skills that you can have is sales. If you can
Sales.
sell sales,
Selling
sales.
skills.
Okay, uh, and because selling skills is basically influencing,
Yes. Yeah.
and that's why I was always selling since I was a kid. I was a hustler. Okay,
Yeah.
so it shows I know.
I'm not I like to complicate matters.
Uh-huh.
So for our listeners out there, when we talk about skills,
Mhm.
one of the most often responses I get from our clients is, when you ask, what are your key skills? Project management.
Project
And the
management,
same and the same to you, Adrian, when you say and ask you, so what are you really good at? I'm really good at selling. But if you
selling,
sell a car and you sell a watch, or you're selling an enterprise software system, it's a very different set of skills.
different, right? It's so different.
So again, just to complicate matters for our listeners out there,
Mm.
identifying skills,
Mhm.
contextualizing those skills,
Mhm.
and then positioning them, creating a narrative for them. Yes, it's also a skill. So come talk
Yes,
to us if you need
all
help
time.
in
And a lot
trying
of
to
times,
explain.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of times you don't have the vocabulary. So for those of you who just joined us now, we are talking about how skills are important in terms of your career strategy because you may think you're great at sales, but sales itself is not just by itself is not a skill. There are a lot of sub skills stacked into it. For instance, are you a hunter? Are you a farmer? Are you a account manager, or are you the closer? Are you the person who does very good prospecting? The person who brings people to the table, or there's so many
That's just
skills
one
involved in
layer.
sales. There's just one
That's
layer,
just
and
one
then
layer.
and
And
then you
then
got
there's
the
an
negotiating piece. You got all the other pieces.
but
So
above and beyond that is also the industry and the domain. Do these
oh
people
yes,
trust you? Have you put enough currency into the work so that
so
people will
there's
listen to you?
so
It's,
multidimensional that's why today we are not talking about skills anymore. Okay, we're talking about capabilities because when you
mm,
layer skills, as well as when you layer your skills over these different dimensions, okay, your region, your product, your industry, your domain, it becomes a capability. And that's
yeah.
why we are moving right now for career agility. We're moving our conversation away from just pure skills alone into capability building.
Yeah. And please do not ever just have one word answers or two word answers. What's your skill? Project management. What's your skill? Selling. What's your skill? Communication. No, not good
Nah,
enough. Not
context,
good.
context, context.
Context counts. Yes.
Yes. So that's one of the things we want to share with you about because it's a very common interview question, but it's an interview question where it's a genuine probe. Okay, they really want
What
to
would
find
you
out what.
consider your greatest strengths? What would you consider your greatest strength? That's a very common interview question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you asking me? No, you're not
Oh,
asking me.
no,
That's
no,
a
no. I'm
rhetorical.
not
Okay.
asking you.
Because
If
because I was gonna tell you about
you
how I'm growing pumpkins right now.
pumpkins, yes,
Yeah,
I
my
knew you were
greatest
gonna
strength is
go there.
pumpkins. Yes, my greatest strength is being able to hand pollinate pumpkins successfully. So anyway,
And I'm just internally rolling my eyes right now because I'm sure there's a very high demand for your ability to pollinate pumpkins.
pumpkins. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, right? So, oh well. But as I was saying, as we were saying, your skills are very, very important. And for those of you who just
Yes.
joined us, we are Career Agility International. And my name is Adrian, and Jens, our co-founder. And together, we help individuals like you to enjoy a more sustainable career. Okay.
Yes.
And the third thing we want to recommend you look at is your reputation. A lot of
Yeah.
people focus so much on personal branding, this personal branding, that, but they miss the wood for the trees, the forest for the trees. And it's like, what's that all meant to be? It's not just about how likable you are. It's
Yeah.
more about your reputation in the market, isn't it?
I think you need to put it all together. Branding is important, but the messaging it has to be congruent with everything
Mm-hmm,
else. So if you just do the reputation part in isolation, again, that's not going to be healthy. It's got to fit into the overall strategy. It's got
mm-hmm,
to fit into what is required for your long-term vision. So again, with a
mm-hmm,
view to your future, what are you looking to curate from there
mm-hmm.
professionally and not just personally?
Yeah,
So that's what I wanted to put out there. So you need to manage that because it doesn't take very much to destroy a reputation, does it?
it
It's
doesn't.
a
Oh,
it could be it's just a little mistake. You want to take the day off and then you tell your boss I'm sick and I've got COVID, and then they discover that you were lying
you were at Universal Studios with your kids.
and the
Because
photograph came online
because your
because
kid posted on
somebody.
Instagram, not you. Your kid posted on Instagram, and you were like,
It
"Eh," and then suddenly
happens. It
it
happens.
happens, and then your reputation goes down the drain.
Or sometimes you get very emotional about someone's post and you put a nasty comment and that
Yeah,
comment goes viral, and then the trolls come back and they come after you and they find out where
yeah,
you worked. That could damage your reputation significantly and it's gone. You can't recover from that.
that's true, and that's why we have to be very mindful about our reputation, because our reputation, it's an asset that we often take for granted. But if you're
Yes.
able to grow your reputation, okay, opportunities come to you, not the other way
Yeah.
around. You don't run
But
chase
again,
after
it's
them
all got to align properly first.
with your
And
career
then you
strategy.
yeah, with the strategy,
Yeah,
and then you need to make sure you market yourself
your
appropriately.
skills, yeah, your reputation. And I think reputation on one hand, at the low I like to look at it as a ladder. Okay, personal branding, yeah, it needs to be there, yeah, fine. And then you move up to the professional branding, okay, what you're capable of, what you can do for your peers, your bosses, your industry. That's even more important. And then after that, you build a reputation. I think the layer above the reputation is basically after you have run through your entire career and you've spent the next 30 years, 40 years with that reputation. I think when you retire, your reputation becomes your legacy. It's what people remember you for. And I think it's
So
really important. I know I'm sounding very philosophical here,
you
but
do, yeah.
but
I
it's your
again,
legacy. People remember you for
yeah.
what you've done, the good things and the bad, the achievements and the failures.
But I think it's also let's come back to earth and focus on your credibility.
Hmm.
I think that's really important as part of your reputation.
Hmm.
So with that credibility, you make things happen more effectively,
Yes.
faster. It's better. So that's why seniority counts, because if you have built your reputation and your credibility to a certain level, people hire you because you make things happen.
Yeah.
Your networking, you can mobilize your business
Hmm.
partners,
Yeah.
and that's something a lot of young executives maybe cannot do yet.
Yeah.
So it is a major selling point, I think. So yes,
Yeah.
that's why I insisted on having this as one of the many elements to highlight today. But there are
Yeah.
many more.
Yes. And for today, this morning, I want to do a quick shout out to Mary. Hi, Mary. Good morning. How are you? Thanks
Good
for
morning,
joining
Mary.
us. Yeah, always lovely to have you on our show,
in between
and
flights.
in between slides. So good morning wherever you are, and I don't know
Flights.
if you're
In
traveling
between flights.
in between flights, not slides, in between flights. Very always happy to have you on board. Okay, we should catch up soon as well. So yeah, okay. So that was somewhat random. Okay, but I wanted to say hi to
Yeah.
Mary because we appreciate our listeners as well. So that's nice. And the final thing we need, one of the other things we need to look at as well is your track record. What do you mean by this, your track record? Because you put it in here. Yeah, this is your
Yes,
pet
I did.
topic now.
The thing about your career, and everyone focuses on what I would consider the skin, but you need to consider your vital organs. and 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 it's not enough to dress well, it's not enough to sing the right narratives, because there are some people who tell a good story.
Yeah.
But what comes out in the wash is your track record. So at
Yes.
the baseline, right, I think it's really important that you do good work, and that's so important. So if you've been hired to perform a function, you've got to make sure that you achieve your KPIs, you've got to make sure that you meet your targets, and that's really important. So that cannot be you cannot take the foot off the pedal on that. It's super important. So if you want to have a claim to fame that says I'm good at sales, I'm good at meeting my clients' needs in the banking sector selling software, then we need to see that you have a track record, or that you've managed a specific account for a decent number of years, to show that there's been growth. Obviously there'll be ups and downs, but that
Yeah.
in the large scheme of things, it's an upward trend, for example. That's really important. So if you get hired based on just your ability to tell a good story, your wonderful reputation and brand building, and then you get the job and you're unable
you're in
to
trouble.
meet, it
You're
can
in
be
trouble.
very dangerous.
You're in trouble. So let me ask you a question, Yan. So some people do fake their track records. Like, you know, they go to the
Ooh,
market and they go like, oh
yes,
no, I know I've
closed
closed
this deal.
six digit deal with
Um,
this company.
I had
Uh
tell a story. I had a client when I was recruiting a long time ago,
uh-huh.
and I think you may know this, right? As recruiters, we specialize in certain markets, and then we become very
Yes.
knowledgeable about the
Yes.
people. We know a lot about the movements, and we sort of track the movements of the industry, as well as the people within there, so that when there's a vacancy, we know. When someone's intending to hire, we know. So I've
Yeah.
been working this market a long time, and one of the clients, one of the candidates I interviewed, he claimed success in a particular deal. He did not
Oh.
realize that I was, and it was bad luck for him, because before I interviewed him, I interviewed 3 other people from not just the same company, but business partner companies as well.
Okay.
So I've seen this story before. So because he
That's
came to me and
funny.
said I was the lead in charge of this, and I closed this deal. So I asked him, I just needed to probe a little bit, and I didn't need to say I don't believe you, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I wore my not very nice hat, and I started probing.
A nasty
What?
hat.
Not at all. I asked him, what do you think were the... Stop interrupting me, Adrian.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I asked, what do you think was the success factor in helping you win this opportunity? And he gave me some answer. Then I said, how long was the lead time from start to finish? Who were the others involved in this deal?
Oh.
And what do you think your input, what was your input specifically in this deal? What was
Okay.
your role? Who else was involved?
And what
I
was
just
his
needed to
response? Did he take full credit for it?
he couldn't really answer the rest of the questions, because I was asking him, like, what were the success factors? What led to this deal? So if you're looking at a large deal, especially we're talking $1 million type deals, right?
Yeah.
Or really large. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-person job. Turns out he was just there to, buy mooncakes and make sure, account manage, generally a message center. Not to say that, look, I'm not denigrating the fact that he was there to smooth things along, but he did not design, he did not
He was there to
architect.
deliver. He was there to deliver the paperwork. So he was critical for the smooth running of the...
For making sure that that the client knows that there's someone that they can turn to. So yes,
No, that's why BS can be sniffed out quite clearly. But then
I
once
think you
again,
need to give credit to and you got to tell the story accurately. Like I was responsible for managing the relationships. I ensured that it was the point of contact.
Yeah.
But I cannot claim that I closed the deal by myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah,
So that's one
I
thing.
sniffed him out.
So when you were saying just now that about your track record, and when you looked at a particular achievement and you get a lot of people claiming credit for it, an old saying comes to mind. No, success has many parents, but
Yes,
failure is an orphan. So it's like,
that's
I don't know
true.
this. So something, no,
Every
I did it. I
time
did it.
every time there's a deal that closes, back where I came from,
Uh-huh. Everyone take
yeah,
credit for it.
everyone takes credit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but that's
success is,
that's that's okay. It's par for the course.
yeah.
I think what's important is that you create a track record, so it's not just a one-off deal. So
Mm,
there are many other salespeople who claim success, but only because the deal was already cooked for them. They just needed to
mm,
be there when they signed the contract, for example, and that's happened as well. And so when we look at one deal, it's not sufficient to say that's a track record. A track
yeah.
record is multiple deals
Yeah.
over a number of years,
Yes.
and that's your
Because
foundation
yeah.
for success. So
And,
again,
and
I
I and I
guess
like what you said. I like what you said. So I'm gonna paraphrase you. Okay, sorry to jump in, paraphrase because my memory is very short, so I'm gonna forget it. It's basically a pattern of success. You're saying,
yes, it
right?
is
And you're suggesting that because of this pattern of success, I can be successful in your company. I can do this for you,
correct. Yeah.
and for each of these deals, I can show you proof that I did it. Proof irrefutable. Therefore, the deals are mine. And the
Or
industry knows it, and I can do it for you as well.
so it's about a solid foundation. No one can take that away from you.
Yeah.
And another thing that I want to highlight here is that I think a lot of our clients that we meet take their track record for granted. So let's not talk
Mm,
about sales, which is very obvious, but there are
yeah.
a lot of other achievements that I feel our clients don't know how to sell.
Like
So
in like
again,
if you're in HR or something.
come to us and let
Yeah.
us help you, because there are a lot of thankless jobs out there, thankless tasks, and
Mhm.
sometimes you over focus on the amount of effort you spend building, say, a performance management system, but the world doesn't really care about the effort. They just care
I
that
know.
the performance system is there and it's running. So
Yeah.
how do you tell that story? How do you leverage your track record? Come
Yeah.
to us and let us help you with the
Come talk to us.
vocabulary.
Yeah. And in summary, what we're trying to say is this: don't look at the components in isolation. If you look at just your CV alone, you look at your personal branding alone, it's not sufficient. If you're looking at career success as a whole, you need to look at the big picture, the big picture.
Yeah.
And
Don't
it's
just
not
hire
always
a physical trainer. Get a dietitian, a therapist, and an accountability buddy.
Yes, that's right. And best if you can find all rolled into one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You wish, right? No,
Yeah,
that
can. It's
life
called
may not.
ChatGPT. So
ChatGPT is not going to
yeah.
keep you accountable.
No, it's not gonna keep you accountable. So but the point you're making here is this: don't major in the minors. Okay, there
Yeah,
are lots of elements you need to look at. There are elements that you didn't know that you didn't know even, and that's why we
yeah,
always say, get help from professionals. If you want to hit the gym, yeah, you need to know how to use the equipment. Need to know which action works for which muscle groups. And
yeah,
that's interesting as well. One of the things I learned when I first started going to the gym, like about 15 years ago, is even different directions of a particular movement affects growth and development of different muscle
yeah,
groups. So
yeah.
so it
And how you
and
breathe,
yeah, and so it
because
is technical. It's not like, hey, I go get the dumbbells. No, I start whipping it up in the shape. I could enjoy
because I've
myself.
I've got a Pilates instructor, and
Uh-huh.
the exercises seem very easy, but then when you do it and you inhale and exhale at the appropriate time, you
Mm,
feel the work done.
mm.
And just to share another personal story, I thought I knew about nutrition because there's a lot of information online.
Oh yeah.
I purchase certain supplements, and then I just kind of heal myself or look for the things to feed my family and ensure that I'm doing the right thing, because
Yeah.
conventional wisdom's all online. And then I spoke to a nutritionist and I realized there's so much I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it sometimes just takes that one conversation. So
Yeah.
that's what we're pushing today. We'd like for you to, well, it's an offer. Not trying to be overly salesy, but it's an offer. We have a career clinic program. It's a one-time thing. So email us to info@careeragility.org and put career clinic in the subject line. It's a one price, one time. Maybe all you need is one session.
Yeah. You may not need to buy a
You
full
don't need a whole program. You just
program
need
with us.
a
Just
perspective,
some
point of
yeah,
view. Yeah.
yeah. So come talk to us because a lot of times that's all you may need. And then you might discover that you actually need a lot more help than that. So and then we can help
Or you
set you
could
on your
go off.
path to
You could
clarity.
go off. Yeah, you could go off and go
Yeah,
find
just go
other
ahead.
other
Yeah.
people. That's okay too. So
Yeah.
again, I'm trying not to work too hard, Adrian.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. But
That's why we filtered all that and let's just go with one session. And if we can send you on your way with some perspective, I think we've achieved our goals.
Yeah.
Working smart here.
So if you have any career questions, just drop us an email at info@careeragility.org. We'll send you a link. It's a paid session, of course. Okay. Because if it gets too complicated, then we really want to do a deeper dive. We want to spend more time with you. But what's really, really important is that we need to see the big picture when it comes to your career. Don't be micro focused. Don't be in the weeds looking at small little things. There's a big picture, and the big picture is basically are you working towards a sustainable career which has longevity, and are you enjoying what you're doing? Because if these are the two things you're not looking at, you need to come talk to us straight away. Pronto,
Even bigger picture. What are you doing this weekend? Because it's the weekend. We should enjoy.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. No, it's for me it's I got a
it's
lot of video.
Mother's Day. Mother's Day, Adrian. Go make sure you get something nice for Ping.
Oh, we did last week already, so it's okay.
Huh? Last week.
Because this weekend I'm cheapskate. This is very expensive. Anyway, no, just kidding.
Drop.
So terrible. No. We did it last week already, so it was really nice. It was nice. We didn't like the crowd, so we did it last week. My mom and everyone else came along, so that was nice. But this weekend a lot of video editing for me because I've got a backlog of things to upload, so it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be listening to hours and hours of Steve Bartlett's Diary of a CEO. There's very good content up there, and this guy they're interviewing now, Giles Yeo, this nutritionist who wrote the book Why Calories Don't Count. And, it's really interesting what he's saying.
Whatever floats your boat. All right.
Yeah, I'm on a health thing as well. So fun stuff. How about you? What's up for your weekend?
Alvin is busy, so I'm gonna try and see if I can get a kid to go hiking with me.
Yeah, and I forgot. This weekend, I'm supposed to make corn bread with Mia as well. So
that'd be nice.
That'd be fun.
Okay.
So lots of fun activities.
All right. Thank you all for listening.
Once again, it's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, drop us an email, info@careeragility.org, and have a great weekend ahead, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.